Speaking of Arsenal, this was you consistently linked to Alexander Isak, and I want to have a little bit of a chat around the player, what he should do. Should he be leaving? Should he be staying? But this was said on the overlap, and it's ruffled a lot of feathers in every direction. Let's take a little listen.
Well, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
That's just what I was saying. I don't see a possibility of going to Arsenal.
I don't.
I think he has to go to bigger and better. I think you're talking Real Madrid. Yeah. Liverpool need a centre forward.
Yeah, I hear that. I think Arsenal are one of the options, but I think if City have got Haaland, Madrid have signed Mbappe.
I think there'll be an option, but I think they'll be down the list as an option.
Fair enough.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just thinking, is that Newcastle, a really good team, brilliant team, but they're not going to win leagues. They're not going to probably win European Cup, and that's the next stage of his career. And I think it'd be a risk to go to Arsenal and do the same thing. Now, Liverpool have got a much better chance. Manchester City have got a much better chance. Real Madrid, Barcelona possibly going for it. I just think his sight should be higher than Arsenal.
What do you guys make of that? Obviously, Newcastle fans consistently frustrated at the links, but Scholes there and Carragher essentially saying it's a massive risk for Isak to go to Arsenal because the guarantee of trophies isn't much higher than at Newcastle.
He's absolutely spot on. And I think if any Arsenal fans are getting upset about this, then they're being naive. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a team that got to a Carabao Cup final 2 years ago. They're in another final this year, so they've been in more finals than Arsenal in the last 5 years, right? Their squad isn't that far behind Arsenal's squad. I think they've got the best midfield in the league. Yeah, Gordon's cooking on the left. They need a right winger, maybe a bit strengthened, maybe a new goalkeeper and that. And obviously, then it's whether or not Eddie Howe is the man to take them further forward. But yeah, Newcastle are a fantastic team, mate. Yeah, so why would he leave Newcastle? And if Newcastle can get that PSR sorted and spend some money, they're not going to be too far away from Arsenal. I mean, they're not even too far away from them now. Get a better manager. I think Eddie Howe will need replacing at some point, right? Why would he go to Arsenal who don't win anything? I think he's spot on, man. I think he's spot on. Now, people will say, oh, yeah, but if he comes to Arsenal, he can be the missing piece. Hang on a minute, yeah. People said this about Declan Rice a year ago. Oh, Declan Rice, you bring him in, he's going to be the final piece. No. Now we're talking about another rebuild. Do you know what I mean? So I think this spot on. I'd be very surprised if Isak went to Arsenal. I would. Now, I don't even think Arsenal have got the minerals to do it because I think to get him out of Newcastle, it's going to cost about 150 million anyway. I don't think Arsenal will do that. But I don't know. I don't know if Isak would go there. Why don't you just wait, go Bayern? You know, Kane's going to be leaving Bayern in a year or two. You know what I mean? He's got that release clause. You know what I mean? He might want to come back to England, try go for Shearer's record. Could he go Barca after Lewandowski's finished? He must be about to leave. I think they're spot on. I think why would Isak leave Newcastle and go Arsenal? I don't get it.
Yeah, look, I don't. First of all, big up to Alex.
Now, just quickly say before you come back in, Potsy. Yeah, that doesn't mean Arsenal shouldn't try. Now, I don't particularly think Isak should go to Arsenal. I don't think he would go to Arsenal, but that doesn't mean I don't think Arsenal shouldn't try and get Isak. I think Arsenal should do everything possible to try and get Isak. I just don't think he'd go.
Okay, then. So me and LB are pretty much on the same wavelength then, because that was the last bit that I was going to add. So for me, big up to Alex from Different Knocks. I think they tried their best to wind him up and little bro him, and I think he dealt with it really well, to be fair to him. I don't think he started getting rattled or screaming back at them, because I think they know what they were trying to do there. However, I can't say they weren't talking too much more than facts. Now, do I think Isak would go to Arsenal? Yeah, I do, if the offer was there. But I also think he'd go to many other clubs as well. And I think what we're trying to do here, for whatever reason, or is try to be kind of put out towards the media, and Jamie Carragher touched on it, is why is it just Arsenal? Why are Liverpool not being linked with him, who clearly need a number 9? Why are Manchester United not being linked with him? Why are Chelsea not being linked with him? All these clubs need strikers. Why is it just Arsenal that's been linked with him? Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, all these teams that have been mentioned, PSG, we could go on, right? Because all of them would want him. So I don't know why it's just Arsenal that people are focusing on. I think it's clearly because there's a little link there, whether it be Arteta loves him, whether it be Isak would be open to it in the summer, whether it be a little bit mix of both. I think he would go to Arsenal, but it would have to be the club. It would have to be Isak saying, yep, I want Arsenal, and I don't want XYZ that's coming in for him. I think he'll stay at Newcastle for another couple of years. That's my honest opinion. I think he'll stay. Unless Newcastle drop off dramatically this season and finish 9th, and next season don't get in the top 4 I think there's a difference there. He might say, yeah, do you know what? I'm not quite sure about the ambition of where we're going as a club and the direction, and I'm leaving. But if they get top 5, even if they get top 6, I think he'd probably stay for another year. Look at what they do in the summer, which will probably be PSR-wise, allow them to spend money. And I think he could stay there. So I don't think that they've little broed Arsenal. I think they probably think they have. I think they're actually talking sense, if I'm honest. I think there is definitely at the moment other opportunities for them to win. And people might not like hearing that. Arsenal fans might not like to hear that he's got more chance of winning a trophy at Liverpool and Manchester City. But in the last 5 years, that's factually true, is it not?
He's got more chance of winning a trophy at Newcastle. That's factually true. He's been in 2 finals in the last 3 years. How many finals have you been in the last 3 years?
Well, there we go. So you can't, this is where I suppose I'm different to my fan base, some section of my fan base, because there's a lot of the fan base that will be crying about this news. A lot of people will be, oh my God, are you serious? Like, it's the best move for him. He'll go and win everything at the club. Well, the facts say that he might not. The facts say he might come to Arsenal and he might not be the only, because if you think Isak is the only missing piece at Arsenal, you haven't been watching Arsenal. We don't just win everything if Isak comes to Arsenal. Now, listen, I'd love him, and I think we should absolutely do everything we can in our power if he's available to go and get him. But it is going to take 150 million. So, look, I don't think that is going to be a realistic signing. And I don't think what Jamie Carragher and Paul Scholes there is actually horrendously bad to say. But maybe that's not the response people want. Maybe they want me to kick off and go, oh my God, Scholes is a disgrace.
Because it's true facts, bro. I think so long as Newcastle get Champions League, so long as Newcastle get Champions League football, I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he's going anywhere. Why would he leave? The thing is, he's only 24, right? So he's not under any like Bruno G. Bruno G is getting on for 28. So Bruno G is now at that period in his career where it's like, I've only got 4 years left at the top level. Because usually, like when you get to like 32, 33, you start to decline, innit? So like he's probably looking at it now thinking, bro, I've got like 4 years left. So maybe if a City or Real Madrid coming for him now, or Arsenal coming for Bruno G now, he might look at it and go, I need this move because I want to win trophies here and now. What are we winning Premier Leagues and Champions League? I've only got 4 years left. Isak's not got that pressure. He's not got that rush. He's got 3 years left on his contract, right? By the way, he can play Newcastle at this as well. He can just be like, I'm fire. Yeah, I'm not signing no new contract straight away unless it's got a release clause in it because I don't need to be pressured into that. I'm not joining Arsenal, don't win anything. We're in the Champions League. Yeah, I'm going to play next season, see where we're at the end of that. But only 25 at the end of that year. I've got 2 years left on my contract then, and then I'll assess the situation again. Like Potsy said, if in a year's time he's got 2 years left on his contract, he looks at Newcastle and they're making progress. They're signing big players. They bought a right winger. They bought some defenders, a new goalkeeper, and things are going well. They're back in the Champions League again. He might sign a new contract and go, you know what, this is the place for me. If things are sort of tailing off, the manager's struggling, they've maybe not requalified for the Champions League, he's looking at it going, 2 years left on the deal. He's probably going to be worth around 120 at that point, 130, because obviously they're losing leverage because the contract's less. Maybe he'll then look to make a move. But even at that point, would he look at Arsenal? If they're not winning anything, he might look at it and go, what's the point? What's the point? And that's what they say. What's the point in going from Newcastle to Arsenal when Arsenal don't win anything? I think, personally, he should wait. I don't think he should leave this summer. I'd wait. I wouldn't sign a new contract. I'd stay another year at Newcastle. Hopefully for him, he's in the Champions League. And I'd be looking at Barcelona and I'd be looking at Bayern Munich next year. Because Lewandowski will be, 37? And Kane will be 33, 34. And he's got a release clause next season for 50 million quid. So he might come back to the Premier League. I just don't see why there's
Do you agree it would be a great signing, though, for Arsenal, right, LB?
Oh, bloody hell. Of course it'd be a good signing, bro.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, bro, it moved the needle. It moved the needle. And if you signed him and didn't win anything, the Arteta wouldn't have to be, because, bro, he is legit one of the best strikers in the world, bro. It'd be a fantastic. And that's why I said Arsenal, for me, should do everything in their power to sign the guy in the summer. I just don't think you will, because I don't think you'll spend the money. Because if I was Newcastle, I wouldn't sign him for anything less than 150. And I'm not convinced he'd join.
Yeah, look, I agree with whether Arsenal will whether the question, will they or won't they pay what is needed? That's one side of it. Secondly, I get where you're coming from, Potsy. I think there's a few areas that need to be addressed, and for the same price as Isak, you could get Nico Williams and Gyökeres, and you may argue that's better. That's better spending of the money than buying just the striker, as an example, because you're adding more to that attacking line. So I think there's an element of what Scholes and Carragher said where they were trying to do a bit of a wind up, but I don't think it's hugely controversial what they've said. There is, I mean, if most strikers had the choice between being the starting 9 at Arsenal and the starting 9 at Real Madrid, most are picking Real Madrid. But that works for all our clubs. That works for every single one of our clubs. There is a higher probability that if you and Real Madrid are fighting for a player to starting a top position at the club, they're going to pick Real Madrid. So I don't think it's overly controversial. The Newcastle thing's an interesting one because I feel that, yes, they're now in their second final. If they win it, I think that argument becomes more prevalent. Who and what are Newcastle going to do this summer? I think for him to stay, I think Newcastle got to buy really well. I think they've got to keep Bruno G. I think they've got to keep Isak, and they've got to add 2 or 3 more players like it to say, stay here. We are going to win titles. If, for instance, their summer comes and goes and it's very similar to last year, they haven't really moved the needle, and Arsenal are the only real club that are really interested in him, then I think you pick Arsenal. I think there's sort of, with this situation, if all the top clubs in Europe come in for him, I think he's picking a Bayern Munich. I think he's picking a Real Madrid as an example. If Arsenal and Liverpool go head to head, Liverpool have let Salah go and they're putting all that money into trying to get Isak, then I think, I would probably advocate, if I was his agent, Liverpool, because of their pedigree of winning, especially in recent years.
Yeah, but hang on a minute, because wait a sec, because I've got to give the same energy then about Liverpool as to Arsenal. Because the project now at Liverpool could be a very different project in the summer, depending on what happens with these 3 players who are out of contract. If all 3 of these players sign a contract, completely agree with you, Terry. Yeah, Isak, if he gets offered the chance to go to Liverpool, it'd be stupid to turn it down. But if Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah all leave, then I'd argue that Arsenal's a more attractive proposition than Liverpool.
But that's a great point, and that's why I understand the point that Paul Scholes and Jamie Carragher gave. At the same time, it does depend on who's in for the individual. And by the way, how many teams come in for him will also dictate the price. What Newcastle decide to do may dictate whether he signs a new deal. Therefore, it may dictate the price that Newcastle can get for him. I think it's a very complicated deal because there's a lot, as you said, there's lots of different permutations. There's lots of different ways that this can go. There's also another question that always gets thrown up for every player that you link to. If no one else bigs in for him, why? As much as we all think he's brilliant, if no one else wants him but Arsenal, there's a question mark, and that will get thrown up as well. I think
the question mark will be answered because of his price,
and potentially that's it. And potentially that's it. But at the same time, average strikers cost 70 million. So you have to wait. I don't think 150 million pound for a striker that scores like he does, plays like he does, it's a lot of money in reality, but for what he is, I feel like it's...
And he's still young. He's only 24.
I agree.
On a 10-year contract like Haaland's done, right? And if he delivers the titles and he delivers all the... he gets him a Champions League, wins trophies, then in 10 years' time, when he's 34, 35 and he's leaving, you go, money well spent.
But the way it looks right now, barring City, who I don't think will go for him, if we just talk Premier League teams for a moment, I think there's more chance of Arsenal paying the wages and paying the 150 million pound release clause than there is of Chelsea or Liverpool. Because Liverpool, I don't see them spending 150 million pounds on a player. Chelsea have a wage cap of 150,000 pound a week. So are they going to start breaking that? There's no signs to say they're going to start breaking it. They don't tend to want to sign the established player at that level. They sign young players that are similar prices. But I don't know. Right now, I absolutely agree. If 2 or 3 of the big international sides come in, I think that's where Isak goes. If the Premier League sides go for him, based on what you've just said about players leaving Liverpool, Chelsea's wage cap, I'm not even putting Man United in the conversation. We're nowhere near it. Arsenal was still a good proposition for him. And I'm not convinced that Newcastle is the better place for him to be than Arsenal. And I stand by that simply because if Isak had joined Arsenal in the summer, would Newcastle be where they are in the league and in the cups? No. But would Arsenal be in an even better position? Probably. So I think if I'm Isak from it and you're selling me that lot, you're selling me where's the best place for me to go, I think Arsenal would be top of the league right now. And I think they'd be in the cup final over Newcastle. However, at the same time, I don't necessarily think leaving Newcastle, if he thinks Newcastle were going to get to the level to win major trophies, imagine the legendary status of scoring loads of
And
goals.
that's
for
why,
Newcastle
Terry.
and winning
That's
them
why.
trophies. So there's so many
Bro.
permutations here. Sorry,
Yeah,
mate,
but
go on.
that's